For this lesson, I have been using the tool Nearpod, and because of the type of tool that Nearpod is, I was able to create a lesson to help teach first graders about standard S1E1 Point B, which is to ask questions to identify forms of precipitation such as rain, snow, sleet, and hailstones as either a solid or a liquid, and I was also able to integrate an ISTE standard being 1.1.8 of the student learning goals, which is where students connect their learning needs, strengths, and interests to their goals and use technology to help achieve them and reflect on their progress. So I'm just going to focus on this first slide for a little bit. The way that I have chosen to create a lesson and how I was able to create this lesson for students in the first grade was I was able to include games, videos of questions, and a poll to gather my students' thoughts. So this was a great tool to use, especially for the little ones. So the first slide is going to cover my objectives. So this is what the students will be expected to know at the end of this lesson. And at the bottom I have included an audio, that way if students need help to read or to hear what I'm asking them to do, they can do so. And I have included that in pretty much every slide that includes text, unless I was unable to. And as you look through this lesson, I would just like to say that for the most part, I would like for this to be a student-led lesson. I would simply be there to support students if they needed help with certain things, such as if they're experiencing some technical difficulties or if they just need help getting into the Nearpod. But for the most part, I just want the students to work on this themselves. If for whatever reason that were to not work, then I could have students work as a group. And now as we continue on, you'll see throughout the slides that I've integrated different things. So, as you can see in this first slide, it's a what do you think question. This is my engaging question to see what the student's general knowledge is. This is just a way to see where they are at before this lesson learning. And then that way I can reflect at the end to see if they have grown from this first slide. So now we have our open-ended question, and students can look at this question and then they can also record if they need to. We continue to move on. There's a video. These little dots down here are showing questions that are being asked throughout the video. This is about the questions that will be asked will be about the information presented in the video. Next, I have a Drawlet activity where students get to draw the types of precipitation and label them. This is a fun way to learn, and it helps me see if they truly understand what is being taught. Here's another video. It's a very short video that covers the states of matter for solid and liquid. And again, I have two questions about those states of matter for students to answer in a multiple choice form. And for my last activity, this is pretty much my wrap-up of the lesson. This is a matching activity where students will get to choose and learn about the forms of precipitation as well as the states of matter. So for example, they may click liquid, and if they remember from the video, this is a state of matter that takes the shape of a container, and it'll show just like it did before whether the student got it correct or not. And here are some pictures like snow, snowmen, that students can remember whenever they learn about this topic. And I close this activity up with a poll just to generate and see what my students liked in this lesson and what was most favorite. That way I can integrate it into future lessons. So based on the students' scores on the games and questions, I can see where my students are still learning and what they have learned, and also to see if they have met the objective that was in the very first slide. And in this last slide, I just wrap up by saying now, because you've done this lesson, you are able to complete the objectives. And I have included a audio. And then overall, because I have been able to use this wonderful tool to create a lesson, I was able to learn how to make a lesson that can be fun with learning and how technology can be useful and beneficial to younger students learning new things rather than a distraction in the classroom.